Hello, Assalamualaikum, howdy. So glad to have you here with us today. We're going to talk about personal finance. Let's not joke around, let's go right into it. Welcome to Puppet Talk. Alright, so what's personal finance and why is it important? If we go by Investopedia, which is a good source for anything related to finances, it's the science of handling money. Stuff like earning, saving, investing, and spending. That kind of answers the two questions I asked just now. Now, with COVID making things difficult in today's economy, it helps to have an idea on what to do with your money instead of using it without much thought. Kinda like going for that burger even though you've already had your lunch and you're kind of full, but you just have to try it. Look at this unemployment rate since the start of 2020. Damn! And this is just those who are unemployed. This doesn't take into account how many people have had their salaries slashed. So how should you go about it? Well, one method would be through budgeting, of course. There's a rule of thumb for budgeting, courtesy of Elizabeth Warren, who was one of the candidates for the 2020 US presidential election. So what's the rule? 50% of your income are for your needs, 30% is for your wants, and 20% is for your financial goals. Of course, this can be adjusted to your personal preferences, but it's still a good general rule of thumb. 50% are for accommodation, maybe rent, paying off housing loans, food, groceries, utilities, car loans, student loans. I'm watching you, PTPTN. This should go without saying. These are indeed basic amenities. A quick tip, however, always pay off your debts first before you begin to do anything else, and then save some of that money. That would usually fall under the 20% for financial goals, but I feel like people tend to neglect their debts. More on that later. So 30% wants can be, of course, what you want. Dining out, going traveling, buying games, iFlix, Netflix, etc. You should always have a clear definition of what your wants are, so that you can recognize that, hey, maybe it's a want and not a need. I can do without it, which is, like I said earlier, the burger, even though you've already had your lunch. You should always make sure that 30% is an absolute limit. Don't go above, but always try to go below. You don't always need to go for a Starbucks once a week. Or, you don't always have to buy a new piece of clothing once it's out. Looking at you, Supreme. That money could be used for your future. I'll talk about inflation in a later video as well. You can tell there's a lot about personal finance that needs to be talked about. And finally, 20% is for savings. Put it into your EPF or maybe ASB. Definitely not in a fixed deposit unless it's the last option. Yeah, you can earn interest per annum with your savings, but you cannot withdraw that money until the maturity date. So if you agree to 1 year of a fixed deposit, you'll have to wait until that time has passed. Keeping your money in EPF is smart, but likewise, this is your retirement money. You should leave this as a last resort, like how Malaysians have been doing with the iSinar program recently. I would recommend ASB, as you can go to the bank and withdraw the funds whenever you need it. Do note that withdrawing before the end of the fiscal year, or the end of the financial year, will have an impact on how much dividends you get paid out that year. In a future video, I'll show you some calculations and examples for ASB and EPF dividend payout per year. Short and sweet, here's a look at that pie chart I mentioned earlier, the 50-30-20 rule. This is just super basic for now. The next video I'll be covering will be discussing investment vehicles, mutual funds, or as it's known here, unit trusts, robo-advisors, cryptocurrencies, ASB, EPF, basically the whole 9 yards. These will help towards helping you grow as savings and also as passive income. Now, wouldn't that be exciting? Not working and getting paid? Sounds like a good deal to me. Until then, this is Puppet Talks.